John here with Art of the Supplement, and I wanted to invite you to our brand new Facebook group, Art of the Supplement Nation. We've assembled the industry's top experts to bring you the best answers to all your insurance restoration questions. It's on Facebook, not MySpace. Delete that. You don't need MySpace anymore. Check it out. Facebook.
Met Matt and Nanju several years ago. Just really awesome guys as far as giving the information, really making the industry better. They care about the contractors. They care about, really how the whole process works. And then they're very honest as far as when we have a claim, to give us their honest opinion as far as whether or not we want to pursue that or not. And then once they, receive that claim, they really do a great job at following up with the homeowners, making sure that they're representing our company, because at the end of the day, our client is trusting us to put them in touch with the best in the industry.
What's up, everybody? Lead meteorologist John Choquette here for a live coverage event. Looks like we are getting a lot of hail happening so far this morning. I'm not going to lie, I have not even had a chance to look at the forecast for today. We are dealing with the now, and we're just going to continue with that. There's been a lot of activity so far today, but I've found a reason to actually come live with these storms here in northwestern Arkansas. So we're going to start with the most imminent threat at the moment, and this is these large hail storms impacting northwestern Arkansas. If you don't know the area, this is where Walmart is located, and the headquarters of Walmart. So this is a very populated area from Fayetteville all the way up north to about Bella Vista. And the first storm we're going to talk about here is actually the one that's most imminently about to impact Bentonville. This is a pretty nasty looking storm that over the course of literally me trying to go live has really exploded into a pretty big storm. So today, so far, we've had a lot of hail upwards of baseball size, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing some pretty big hail here moving into, we're warned for tennis ball size hail moving into Bentonville, Arkansas right now. So this is current look here in Centerton. You can see the low CCs. Again, it's like right above my head here. On the right, we got the velocity, the normal radar reflectivity, and on the left, we have the correlation coefficient, or as I like to say, CCs. A little easier on the the roll off the tongue there. And this indicates the large objects in the sky, such as hail. And when you have the greens and the blues showing up, it indicates that we have really big hail falling. And then as I look at a couple other parameters here, so we're definitely seeing hail upwards of 2 inches diameter at this moment. Wouldn't be surprised if we start getting closer to that tennis ball size hail here in Centerton. So in Centerton, Arkansas, right along Main Street, and a cross section with, let me get the road if it'll show up here. Doesn't want to show up. Fox Run Circle. So Main Street, Fox Run Circle, and Centerton. You're seeing that hail again, probably 2 inch, maybe even as big as a tennis ball size, and it's gonna be moving to Bentonville imminently. So here is Bentonville, Arkansas. There's Rogers, Arkansas. Down here is Springdale, and then we have Fayetteville, where we had golf ball size hail as well. I'll talk about that in just a second. So this is a storm that's happening right now. This storm is exploding right as it's beginning to move into the Bentonville area. Let me kind of draw out where it's heading now. Let me get my pen up here. And depending on how long this live coverage lasts, we may just roll into a kind of on-the-fly improvised forecast, since we've had so much activity so far this morning, where I think we've already blasted over 50 hail reports over the course of about 3 hours. It's been an extremely busy morning here. So here's your hail core. Again, it's in Centerton right now on the western sides of Bentonville, and this is moving basically east-southeastward. It's going to impact a very densely populated area of Arkansas here very soon as we move things over. So it's going to impact Bentonville and then over into Rogers. Just follow the arrow here. So it's going to basically hit most of Bentonville and then into the heart of Rogers, Arkansas in the coming 20 minutes or so. So let me go ahead and close this out. And so while we're waiting for an update here for the next radar frame with this big nasty storm, let me check in on just what happened a little bit earlier in Fayetteville while I was trying to get the live video ready to roll here. We had a storm form right by Farmington, and you can see the lower CCs. Yeah, man, holy cow, this is the first time I'm actually seeing this here. So immediately, look how low these CCs were. This thing formed and immediately dropped very large hail, and this moved right into Fayetteville. Looks like it went right through the center of the city. So it crossed across the what's the highway that goes north-south across Arkansas? Whatever that main interstate is, I-54 or something? Whatever it is, the main highway that goes north and south in Fayetteville, and went right through the center of town. I don't think there was large quantities of hail through the center of Fayetteville. You can tell that the reflectivity there is. You want to see the pinks to have higher quantities of hail falling. This looks like it was probably hail up to golf ball size, but not very large quantities of it. So now we still have hail happening just to the east of Springdale, Arkansas, and this is pushing east-northeast pretty quickly here. But the biggest storm, the big ticket item in northwest Arkansas right now, it's going to be the storm by Bentonville. It's now moving into Bentonville right now. This is going to have much larger quantities of hail. Again, you can see the higher reflectivity when you see the pinks in there, and then with the lower CCs, that always means you're going to be seeing some big hail. Predominantly hail based on this one here, and then only a small amount of melting. So I'm saying probably more close to 2-inch hail, maybe to tennis ball size hail versus possibly much larger hail. So we'll see how this thing evolves here as it keeps moving to the east-southeast. Again, Bentonville currently now along Southwest I Street and Southwest 8th Street in Bentonville. You're now seeing that large hail, likely golf ball size hail, maybe even larger than that, with the biggest hail probably still in Centerton, Arkansas. Again, this is moving into Bentonville, then Rogers, and then over by Prairie Creek. I believe there's a big lake over here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's going to go over to the lake and then continue moving to the south and east. The other storm that impacted Fayetteville, that has moved out of Fayetteville, and that had hail as well, upwards of golf ball size. So I'm going to jump back over. I'm going to look up at the, oh crap, okay. All right, we had tennis ball size hail in Fayetteville, so never mind. Okay, all right, so these things are dropping really big hail. So let me roll this back, and we can talk about that. That report didn't show up on my radar right away. And again, I was just more focused on this one by Bentonville. So again, where we had those really low CCs, I'm sure over by Farmington on the west sides of Fayetteville, that is likely where that tennis ball size hail fell. So right along Highway 62 and where the main interstate crosses I-540, Interstate 540 and Route 62. So basically right along that general area, that's where you have that up to tennis ball size hail falling, possibly as far to the east as North Razorback Road. Is that where University of Arkansas is at? Might have been University of Arkansas that got hit with up to tennis ball size hail there. We'll have to check in on that in a second. So there you go. There's that measured tennis ball report that came in. We even had up to ping pong ball size hail as far north as Johnson. It's between Springdale and Fayetteville, Arkansas here. So that leads me to believe if we had tennis ball size hail on that guy, we probably have tennis ball size hail here in Centerton and Bentonville as well. So this very quickly could turn into a 5-star map here, guys, if this ends up being some large quantity, high impact level event. This may end up being pretty intense here, guys. No, where'd my stream go? I lost you guys on Facebook. Hang on. Trying to get this back. Well, I see the comments coming in. I'm going to try to catch them as they show up. I usually have on my phone here the live video so I can at least catch some of the comments that I might have missed. But it looks like I lost it. That's okay. Whatever. I'll kind of roll with this here. Next radar frame we update here in center of Bentonville, Arkansas. You're getting impacted now with that at least golf ball size hail. Again, up to tennis ball size hail is possible with this falling right now. Hopefully in the chat, somebody's watching this video from Hail Trace. They can kind of give me a heads up and click or something if we start seeing some big stuff falling here. So before I check in on other areas here in the Bentonville area, we have at least golf ball size hail falling right now at Southeast J Street and over by Southeast 18th Street in Bentonville, Arkansas, and then possibly I want to say there was possibly up to tennis ball size hail in the center of Centerton, Arkansas, and there's still hail falling in Centerton, Arkansas now. So it's been, let's see, when did it start hailing here? About there. It's been getting close to 10 minutes now of hail across Centerton, Arkansas, along Town View Road, for example, and over by Christian Lane, my bad, and this is continuing to move off to the east. And looking on the radar here, I wouldn't be surprised if in Rogers you've already seen some hail right with this storm that moved through a few minutes ago across the center of Rogers. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some quarter to ping pong ball size hail with that quickly moved through before this main storm is moving by. And if you just joined in, we've had up to tennis ball size hail on the west sides of Fayetteville, Arkansas already as these storms are continuing to move in. Biggest storm currently in northwest Arkansas is in the Bentonville area, and that's moving to the south and east through center Bentonville and then into Rogers and probably even towards Lowell a little bit. So what I was saying before, I'm going to switch over to the overview look. We have a lot of activity going on, so let's see if I can get the stream back up on my phone so I can see everything here. Nope. Let's get on the hail trace page. Get my video back up. All right. There we go. All right, got my video back up here, guys. So as we push off to the north, we've had large hail in Carthage and in Joplin. We had golf ball size hail there. We had a storm move through Baxter Springs and the Miami, Oklahoma, Baxter Springs, Kansas area. That had baseball size hail with that. Golf ball size hail moved through Carthage and Joplin and Carl Junction, and that has since kind of moved away. We've had a lot of hail in Kansas today, a whole ton of it across sections of near just to the east of Emporia, and then over by Silver Lake, Junction City, Abilene, all with hail ranging in sizes. And now we have a storm heading towards Kansas City that I should probably check in on with strong winds and possibly some large hail as well. We've had some very strong winds from about Junction City all the way through Topeka. And what else is happening right now? Okay, so before I go back to the Fayetteville area, I will check in on Kansas City here. Nope, that's the Tulsa radar. Nope, still the Tulsa radar. Kansas City, there we go. So here, moving into Kansas City area right now, we do have a storm starting to impact the metro area there. I know I got 4 panels up on here. Just bear with me a second. Looks like we got some strong winds in the area. And here, let me switch it over to here actually. And then I'll just make this. Okay, so we do have hail falling in the Kansas City metro. This is going to be along I-435. This hail looking like it may have up to quarter size hail with it, but it likely is going to be sub-severe. There's a lot of melting with this storm, but the winds are very strong. Wouldn't be surprised if you saw 60 to 65 miles an hour near Shawnee, Kansas, and it's going to be heading right for downtown Kansas City with probably, again, pretty strong gusty winds. The hail size, I think, maxing out at quarters, but more likely it's going to be that sub-severe hail that's wind-driven upwards of 65 miles an hour, and that's pushing directly towards downtown Kansas City in the coming minutes here. So I'm going to jump back over to the Bentonville area where we had the biggest hailstorm right now, and the storm is looking like we are seeing, again, likely we've had a history of tennis ball size hail over by Fayetteville. This is a different storm that's impacting the Bentonville area right now. I'm saying solidly, let me look at a couple other parameters at the moment. Yeah, saw at least golf ball size hail across all of downtown Bentonville and the south side of Bentonville, and then now even heading towards the western edges of Rogers. That hail is going to be all the way to Route 71. That golf ball size hail, again, likely along highways. Like Highway 71 and over by Southeast 28th Street. And this is continuing to move to the south and to the east. The storm isn't looking as crazy as it did a little bit ago, but it still is looking like we are seeing that hail well over golf ball to 2-inch size in diameter. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a tennis ball report come in with this thing at some point. So let me try to see. Okay. Nobody sent anything in yet. So I got somebody sent me something on Facebook. Oh, I'm getting some pictures from Joplin sent in from, looks like up to near 2-inch hail in the Joplin area from some couple pictures I got sent in. Error loading. Why do I keep getting error loading on my own video here? Alright, so again, continuing in the Bentonville area, the storm keeps moving to the south and east. So let's see what the latest update is. Yeah, warned for 2-inch hail. I think 2-inch hail is a good bet for what's happening right now. Wouldn't be surprised again. We probably had near tennis ball size hail in Centerton, and then now likely golf ball to 2-inch hail here across the Bentonville area, south of downtown, continuing moving towards Rogers, Arkansas, and then even to the east of Fayetteville over by the Springdale area, likely seeing still seeing probably hail quarter to maybe even close to golf ball size hail there. So these two storms, again, moving through. This is going to cross the interstate pretty soon here in the Bentonville area and then into Rogers, where we'll see at least golf ball size hail likely. Is this a storm heading towards Springfield? Generally, yes. So even further north, you can see here by Joplin, we got golf ball size hail that was reported. The second storm, we had golf ball size hail by Carthage. And so a lot of activity here if we zoom out all the way that has occurred already this morning. So anywhere from small as quarter size hail to as large as baseball size hail. We have another storm. We got storms impacting Kansas City and pretty much everywhere in between all the way down to Fayetteville, as we haven't even gotten to the meat and potatoes of the real risk for today, which could be some pretty explosive storms developing along the I-44 corridor in Oklahoma. From what I last looked at, which I'm going to be completely frank, was last night in Oklahoma City, it looks like the storms are going to form away from Oklahoma City, just to the south of OKC. So I think Oklahoma City has a pretty low chance of storms, but Tulsa has a much better chance. The Miami area could see large hail again later on this afternoon, and then same with the Joplin area. We'll see how much all this activity from this morning disrupts the potential for hail later today, especially here in southwestern Missouri, but as of right now, I'm saying we could see some pretty big hail. For the Kansas City area, after these storms move through, I think you're going to be done pretty much for the day. But we'll see how that burns through. There we go. I actually got my live video going here. So let's jump back over while we're here to... Okay, nope. This is the Tulsa radar. I don't want that one. We're jumping back over to Kansas City now. We're going to check in on this storm. So I'm bouncing back and forth. I know I'm going hundreds of miles away, but we're jumping from Kansas City, and we're going to go back to the northwest Arkansas area in a moment. So here we do see, again, there is a bit of a hail core with this thing. Where it's starting to set, the algorithm is saying that we're seeing up to severe hail. Looking at it, looking at the amount of melting that's going on with this, I'd say probably isolated 1-inch hail with this storm in Shawnee, Kansas, and that's going to be pretty much right along the interstate here, whatever this loop is. Does not want to load for me sometimes. For I-635, right along I-635 in Shawnee, Kansas. Probably seeing some very strong winds, likely winds upwards of over 60 miles an hour. Wouldn't be surprised if we see gusts 60 to 65 miles an hour for this thing as it pushes across Kansas City. But the hail sizes, I think, are staying marginal, mostly subsevere hail with maybe some isolated quarter-size hail mixing in with this storm. Not saying that this couldn't just ramp up very quickly by any means. It's I've seen storms do weird things before and very quickly go from pretty pedestrian to pretty severe very fast, but right now it's really looking like that hail size is going to stay around quarters at best, and the wind is going to be the bigger story. Winds upwards of 60 to 65 miles an hour, pushing quickly off to the east. We did see a 61 mile per hour wind gust from Lawrence, Kansas from the same storm not too long ago, and I wouldn't be surprised to see again 60 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts in Kansas City, especially near downtown North Kansas City, the south side of Kansas City, and then probably even pushing forward further east, right along the river likely is where that strongest winds are going to be in the Kansas City area. So that's the check-in with the Kansas City storm. Let's jump back over to northwestern Arkansas, where we've had much larger hail happening so far today. And okay, so looking at this latest update, you can notice here the CCs have really bottomed out since a couple frames ago. Notice how, you had the mix, you had the greens and yellow showing up, but here it really kind of blew up, where a higher concentration of the greens and blues have really kicked in. The structure of the storm itself is looking like a large hail producer, the way you have the little arc crossing right here. You got that good, healthy inflow to the storm to help suspend those hailstones a little bit longer so they get a little larger. And the melting seems to only be fairly minimal, so I'm willing to bet that along I-540, just north of it here, over by West New Hope Road, for example, or Promenade Boulevard, we could be seeing some large hail, possibly as large as tennis balls, falling on, and this is in West Rogers, Arkansas, and South Bentonville, Arkansas, and then continuing to move to the south and east. Again, we've already had tennis ball size hail fall in Fayetteville this morning, so it would not shock me if this storm right now, the way it's looking on radar currently, we could be seeing that very large hail falling as well. Still just trying to check in on the warnings to see if we get any reports coming in. I'm going to check in to see if any reports are showing up. Okay, no reports as of right now. So, again, just kind of trying to check in to get that verification, with the storms and everything, to see if what I'm seeing is exactly what is going on. But we are seeing quite the hail spike going on. Yeah, there's definitely some... Rogers, south of downtown Rogers, you're definitely seeing some pretty big sky diamonds here, upwards of, again, I think likely upwards of tennis ball size. Okay, hang on one second, guys. Okay. Okay. All right. Just had to trying to rally the team, getting everybody going here. Morning storms always seem to be a little crazy. And am I getting some? Hang on. It looks like Frank is searching for some pictures, so I'm gonna see if we get something cool here in a second. He went, saw like one photo, maybe quarters. So is it smaller hail? We'll see here. Oh, let's see. Got an update to the warning. Still 1 for 2-inch hail. Now Frank says he went on Twitter and he saw maybe quarters. But I'm looking at the storm. The way I'm looking at the storm right now, there's no way that's only dropping up to quarter size hail. Again, there is some melting going on, but really think we're, again, up to 2-inch hail is easily happening here as we're going into the Rogers area. The storm looks like it's re-strengthening a bit too. Oh yeah, super tall storm. So yeah, here in Rogers again, that large hail falling. Is this a frame update from before? Yeah, it's getting a pretty good hail time. So you're getting that hail much longer than like 2 or 3 minutes. So it looks like we're seeing 6, 7, 8 minute hail time. Some areas possibly up to 10 minutes. Yeah, there we go. That size is really jumping up again. Again, I'm pretty confident we're seeing large hail falling right now across Rogers, Arkansas, along Highway 71B, over by South 13th Street, over by West New Hope Road. All this area, I'm really, everything is screaming to me that this thing is dropping large hail, upwards of up to near tennis ball size, as of course we get a 0.75 inch report coming in. So I'm either... That's crazy. There's no way it's only 0.75 inch hail right there. Yeah, because here in the center of Rogers, it's looking likely that we're seeing some pretty... Okay, so here, already starting to get a picture. Got a picture in. This is in the Springdale area, so this was the first storm over by Fayetteville. Looks like pretty hard hail falling with that. Again, that was the first storm by the Fayetteville area. And here is some of the hail. Okay, this was over by Centerton. Okay, so this looks like we had hail right around 2 inches in diameter here. This is ranging from ping pong ball to 2 inches in diameter. So that's hail. Again, already seeing some of that hail a little bit larger coming in with this. So even though we had a 0.75 report come in already, that's likely a pretty initial report. Could be further north in Bentonville, but here within, we're getting from Centerton and then over the storm that was earlier over by Springdale, seeing already pictures of pretty large hail and looks like pretty hard hail as well. So this is in northwestern Arkansas. Storm moving a little further east now. Here, man, Jesus, there's no way that this thing is not dropping big hail right now. Yeah, this thing's got to be dropping big hail right along Route 71 in Rogers over by East Laurel Avenue. Like that is some pretty classic looking big hail falling, at least golf ball size for sure. Golf ball 2-inch, possibly large quantities of it falling here in Southside Rogers and over by Lowell, and that's happening currently as it's moving south and east. I'm going to check back in with Kansas City. I know a lot of folks are caring about that. Kansas City is being impacted right now. We are seeing probably strong winds. Winds off right where my mouse is right here, lower right-hand corner. We have the normal reflectivity up in the upper left-hand corner. My apologies. And then here off to the right is the correlation coefficient. We are seeing a lot of hail falling in Kansas City right now. However, there is also a ton of melting with this at the moment. So you got that strong winds here on the south sides of Kansas City. It's really seeing a big push by like 42nd Street. So the wind's probably likely over 60 miles an hour. However, that hail size seems like it's going to be at most around quarter size, around 1 inch in diameter. So even though it looks kind of impressive on radar and you're probably seeing that hail, it's likely staying mostly subsevere, maybe just some isolated 1 inch hail south of downtown Kansas City. And this is rapidly moving off to the east with these strong winds as well. So gusting winds 60 to 65 miles an hour with that hail mostly subsevere and maybe getting close to 1 inch in diameter as this continues to race off to the east. Holy cow. Okay, here you guys want to see some hail this is a picture from Fayetteville here. This is rolling hills in Fayetteville. That is quite the hailstone. Definitely big hail, size of the average palm. That's probably going to be pretty big. So it looks like that first storm that ripped through definitely had some really big hail with it, and that is in the northwest Arkansas area, even though we're looking at Kansas City right now. That size of hail is not happening in Kansas City right now. Again, strong winds, 60 to 65. Sorry about that. I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing. 60 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts for sure, blowing through Kansas City, especially south of downtown, and then seeing hail around 1 inch in diameter, likely mostly subsevere, that pea to maybe dime size, and then you get that occasional stone that might sneak up to that 1 inch in diameter size. Even knowing the reflectivity is really high, a lot of pink on radar, not really seeing too much in the way of lowering of CCs, and this is behind where my head is, but I'm seeing a ton of melting with the stuff in the Kansas City area. So that's really holding me back from saying anything larger than maybe only about 1 inch in diameter. Jumping back to Arkansas here, we're still warned for 2 inch hail, and I continue to agree with that here in the Rogers area. The CCs have really bottomed out. Lots of greens and blues showing up here. Probably very large quantities of hail falling. Looking pretty likely here. Yeah, large quantities of hail falling. Not a whole ton of melting. So I think we are definitely seeing that large hail upwards 2 inches in diameter based on pictures that we've had so far. So, okay. Dang. Here's another picture. Here's another picture coming in from the Fayetteville area. Again, this is looking like hard hail, guys. I mean, this doesn't look like the type of hail that's going to explode on the road or be a slushy snowball. This looks like some really big hail, and I'm getting pictures pretty quickly. I've asked the whole team to look for pictures, and we're finding quite a few pictures very fast. Is that like a 3 inch stone? Holy crap. That's in the Fayetteville area. So definitely going to have some purple on the map for the Fayetteville storm here. And then let's see over here. There's some lime. It's compared to a lime. Probably getting ready for whatchamacallit. what are CCs? So CCs is called the correlation coefficient. So basically what that is we have a dual pole radar. So you have beams going out horizontally and then beams going out vertically. So the vertical beams can tell if you have like a small object or a much larger object in the sky. It's good for picking up things such as large hail and for tornado debris balls. So like crap that tornadoes throw up in the air. So when we use it for hail, typically the values start at 100%, which basically means that the correlation, it's all the same. It's raining. All the objects are about the same size. And then the lower it gets, the larger and more irregular shaped the objects are going to be. So that means that you get the correlation coefficient to go down, and we have it color coded. So once you get down to about 80%, it's down to that green and blue color, and that's typically where you start finding that very large hail, because the hail sizes are irregular and you get that large shape, and that will then fall to the ground. So it's a really clear way for us to see when hail is falling with this thing. So again, over here, again, a lot of lower CCs here for the Rogers area. Of course, man, just a 1-inch report. That'd be crazy. I mean, this is just dropping like a metric crap ton of 1-inch hail. Oh, there we go. We got a 3-inch report now from Fayetteville. Probably from that picture that I just shared with you guys a moment ago. 3-inch hail in the Fayetteville area. So that's definitely purple worthy. We got our little LSR report that is purple. So really very large hail impacted Fayetteville. This is likely going to be a pretty good map here, guys. And I'm curious to see how this storm here over by Rogers and Bentonville is going to be. We've only seen smaller hail reports coming in, even though the radar has looked very, very indicative, very favorable for really big hail, especially in the Rogers area. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition, or if something has caused this thing to just drop a ton of hail. Either way, a lot of hail has definitely fallen with this thing. As I mean, look at some melting. I mean, there is some melting, but it's like not much different melting than what we had move through Fayetteville. So I don't understand what would cause it to be different. I think maybe just some initial reports. We'll see. Of course, after the fact, when we start getting more verification with photos coming in, that's what will really help. So jump back over here. So yeah, again, everyone in the chat here for Hail Trace, trying to help us out find some pictures with this storm. So let's see what else is going on with the hail so far today. This isn't even the main risk area for the main risk for today. The main risk was actually going to be later on this afternoon. So that really shows that like how much activity we've already had for today. We definitely made a couple 3-star maps already. I would say the Fayetteville storm is likely at least a 4-star map now, and activity across Kansas, definitely at least a 3-star map, and then of course wind as well. So if I roll it back pretty far, you can see, look at all these reports that come in earlier, just east of Emporia, then back over by Abilene and Salina, Junction City, all saw some large hail with this. Got close to Topeka, but the Topeka area got strong winds upwards of 70 miles an hour. And now here in Kansas City, as far as I'm aware, we are still only seeing hail maybe up to 1 inch in diameter. Let me jump back over to the Kansas City area. Yes, the storm has blown through very fast here. You can see, I mean, look at how the radar's kind of bowing out like this. You got that big push, of air. The outflow of the storm, the exhaust of the storm is coming out very quickly, and that is causing the wind to gust pretty strongly here, probably 65 miles an hour is my guess. And then that hail in Independence right now, you're probably hearing some hail pinging on your windows, likely sub-severe. This storm never really had the look of very large hail to me. It looks like it had a lot of sub-severe hail, that pea to dime size hail, and then the occasional stone. So maybe some isolated 1-inch hail mixing in. And if I had to pick one place in particular, I don't know. Down in Independence, maybe along Noland Road. But for the most part, this looks like, even though it had more, I think it has more bark than bite on radar in terms of hail. Yes, the pink is there. There's a lot of high reflectivity, but in terms of that hail size, it really looks like it's going to be closer to that sub-severe range with the strong winds in there. So we definitely have a wind map coming through. I think a good chunk of Kansas City south of downtown saw winds upwards of 60 miles an hour, 60 to 65. But in terms of the hail, pretty minimal across Kansas City. So we also have very strong winds as well over by to the south of Topeka with 75-mile-per-hour winds coming in. That's heading towards Ottawa. You could see a pretty strong gust of wind coming up in the next 10 minutes or so as this thing is racing across Kansas. And once all this activity that's backed by Topeka moves through Kansas City, that's it. You guys are done for the day. I don't see the atmosphere recovering in time for you guys to see any more storms later on this afternoon. So further to the south here, looks like the Joplin area is finally starting to kind of have a bit of a break. You've had multiple rounds of storms with hail sizes ranging from as small as quarter to as large as up to baseball size. I saw a picture from a client of ours in the Joplin areas with hail up to 2 inches diameter there. Storms as they're heading towards Springfield look like they are weakening pretty considerably. There's been a lot of cloud cover in this area so far today, and I think that is weakening the storms because it is not as warm and unstable as it is in other areas for these storms to continue moving eastwards. I think Springfield, Missouri is likely going to get away with stuff scot-free. In terms of the main risk area for today, Tulsa, haven't seen anything yet today. You are getting into the low 80s now, pretty warm. And even down by Oklahoma City, it's warm and unstable and muggy and humid, and really good setup for the potential for some pretty big storms later on this afternoon. The main risk area for today was going to be along the I-44 corridor, pretty much from Joplin down through south of Oklahoma City, probably about Chickasha. I think storms, I haven't looked at the models yet, but based off of what I saw last night, Oklahoma City may miss out. It might be storms by like Shawnee. But the Tulsa area is yet again kind of in the crosshairs. We'll see how Tulsa can figure out a way to not get hail today. But and I think they have one of the better chances for hail. Elsewhere, it looks like possibly as far south as into Texas. Again, I'm going to have to take some time after this video and actually try to throw together a forecast just for today. Probably won't be looking ahead too much since it is already almost 11 o'clock and I have not put the forecast together yet for today. So morning storms tend to really force the team to work together, work really hard, all at once, kind of unexpectedly, as we are closing in on 11 a.m. and we are currently sitting at, I'll tell you how many hail reports. We are at 63 hail reports for the day so far. So, holy cow. Jesus, where was that? Okay, hang on. I got a pretty big picture here that I want to show you guys, but I'm waiting for... Oh my god, that is a huge hailstone. It's 1 second, let me... Fayetteville. So this is in Fayetteville, guys. That is a big hailstone. That's softball size. I mean, that's the size of a person's hand. I mean, oh my god. That's huge. I mean, like, I don't have the biggest hands in the world, but like, yeah, that's a softball size hailstone. So Fayetteville, that first storm, looks like we had some crazy big hail, and that's the potential for today. So we've had pretty big hail already, and this was at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. And the same atmosphere, the same conditions are in place for the I-44 corridor in Oklahoma. So that's why the potential for today, for the Tulsa area, for Oklahoma City, if we can get a storm to fire ahead of them, we could be seeing hail about this size later on today. Someone asked about Dallas. I wouldn't put you guys out of the woods until mid-June. I'm just going to throw that out there. I know typically you're used to seeing your big hailstorm like right around St. Patrick's Day, but this year seems to be a little different, and we're probably seeing that big hail likely coming in for the potential for later on this month, and if not, well, hey, sometimes that's just what happens. So yeah, so this was the main storm that I just showed you guys a picture of for the Fayetteville area. Again, you can see, look how low those CCs were. So even though the reflectivity wasn't crazy high, this must have only been really big hail falling. And this hit Fayetteville up to 3-inch hail there. And then The big question mark now is over by the Rogers area. How big did this hail get? Because we've only gotten 2 reports that come in. We've seen pictures from Centerville, about 2-inch hail, and I'm maintaining that we probably saw large hail, our red swath, I'd say, up to 2, maybe 2.5-inch hail across Rogers and Bentonville as that continues moving off to the south and to the east. Yeah, it's warned for baseball size hail. It's radar indicated. So National Weather Service in Fort Smith or Tulsa or whichever area is whoever is in control in Northwest Arkansas, they were on the same wavelength as me, thinking that we were seeing very large hail. So if there is, we do find some verification of very large hail in Bentonville and Rogers. This will likely end up being a 5-star map. The fact that we've had softball size hail in Fayetteville, Arkansas, probably some of the biggest hail Fayetteville has seen in quite some time. So this is again, I'll bring this photo up again. This is the most impressive picture we found so far. This is from Fayetteville, softball size hail. I think one of you guys will probably say it before you do. Coronavirus shaped hail here across Fayetteville. That is a big hailstone. So that's gonna leave a mark. So again, very large hail falling across that fell across the Fayetteville area earlier, and then over here by Bentonville and Rogers. Still a little bit of uncertainty, but I'm willing to bet that we had at least 2-inch hail move through a good chunk of Bentonville and Rogers. So that's available on our website now on Hail Trace. So everything in the Northwest Arkansas is on a map. We had everything in the Joplin area. That's all on a map here. So Joplin and Carthage and Carl Junction, Baxter Springs, Kansas, up by the Miami, Oklahoma. All that's together probably on one map as well. At least the 3-star map there. Okay, there we go. All right. Haha, I'm right. I was right. 3-inch hail in Rogers. So I'm not crazy. There we go. 3-inch hail in Rogers. I hope Frank's watching. Okay, yeah, this is going to be a 5-star map, guys, for sure. We got 2 major hailstorms blow through Northwest Arkansas. So if you're just tuning in, again, everything was pointing towards that big hail, and we were just kind of waiting for that report to come in. You can see where those CCs really bottomed out in the greens and the blues here in Rogers and Bentonville. I mean, look at that. That is your classic marker, typically what I see in Dallas. So that's why I was pretty confident with this. South 26th Street, West New Hope Road, probably got 3-inch hail there. And then possibly right along Route 71, and then pushing over to the lake here. Again, 3-inch hail reported in Rogers, had 2-inch hail in Centerton. We knew that from a picture we'd seen. So again, probably south side of Bentonville through a good chunk of Rogers here. Had that baseball, the 3-inch hail, just like in Fayetteville. So possibly 2 storms that had up to softball size hail in the Northwest Arkansas area. So again, this is likely a 5-star map. Looks like Derek's probably going to have to break out his green suit again. So this looks like a pretty high impact storm for the Northwest Arkansas region. This is one of the more densely populated areas in the Arkansas area. All right, so again, 2 major storms here across the Fayetteville area. We had softball size hail in Fayetteville. We've had now a confirmed 3-inch hail from Rogers, a 2-inch hail in Centerton, likely Bentonville. In between, had that 2-inch to 3-inch hail, and now that has been moving into much more rural areas now, but damage is done. 2 storms here that have had at least baseball size hail moving through the northwestern Arkansas region, all before 12 o'clock, all before 11 o'clock. So this has been a very busy morning. We are currently sitting at, let me see how many hail reports. We're at 63 hail reports for the day so far. I think that's not counting for all the ones that just popped up a minute ago. So yeah, we're probably on over 100 hail report day here at Hail Trace. So it's going to be a busy day, very busy day here, as we've had quite a bit of activity already this morning, and more expected on the way later on. That more hail up over baseball size is likely going to occur in Oklahoma later on this afternoon. We'll see if it actually gets to Tulsa. You guys do those hail dances, and we'll see, and hopefully we can get that together. Get a big storm for Tulsa. I know they have not had the big 5-star map, I think, since I've been a legal adult. So I think 2008 might have been the last time you guys had a crazy storm. Maybe 2011. It's almost 10 years. So looks like the wind now pushing away from the Kansas City area. The hail threat has come to an end. It looks like another round of activity is going to move through for you guys pretty soon here. I think in terms of wind and hail, pretty much your strongest storm just happened now. This stuff over by Lawrence and Baldwin City, that's likely going to stay. The winds are probably going to be pretty weak across Kansas City when this moves through again. And there's going to be a lot of rain. I think the hail sizes are going to be pretty minimal, if at all, for this next area of storms. So I think Kansas City area, you pretty much have run your course. That's going to be it for today. And we'll have to keep an eye on some of this stuff that's heading towards Springfield. It's all kind of dying as it's getting towards Springfield. We've had a lot of cloudiness in the area so far this morning. It's keeping that instability a little less, but I mean, you never know. We've had some wild stuff happen pretty much at daybreak today, so we'll see. I think I'm going to wrap this up, though, guys. Thanks to our sponsors. I didn't really get a chance to shout them out. We've been kind of going pretty wild out here for the whole time. Thanks to our sponsors, C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, Balance Claims, and our supplement. As always, going to jump off so we can get at least a forecast for the rest of today put together, so we can get that out there by 12 o'clock. I got about an hour to look at the forecast for the first time instead of just now casting everything that's happening currently. So see you guys in about an hour for the forecast, and hopefully we'll have more live coverage to come. I'll see you guys in a little bit.
This is Larry Bache with the Merlin Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Merlin Law Group, because we are the true policyholder advocate.